All of these types of leverage are important for us as negotiators to recognize and develop. And to do that, we need to consider how such leverage can depend on different bases of power in negotiation. These include rewards, punishments, legitimacy, expertise, attractiveness, and information. While the importance of some of these factors are probably apparent to you, we should link this discussion to our prior consideration of influence principles to get a better understanding of why these different bases of power can matter. For example, your ability to identify sources of positive or negative leverage are ultimately about your ability to reward or punish your counterpart. And the discussion of whether you will offer these benefits or impose these costs can ultimately be linked to whether your counterpart is willing to address your own interests in the negotiation. This is basically an attempt to leverage the reciprocity principle that we talked about before. The extent to which your willingness to offer or take things your counterpart may value is made contingent on whether your counterpart offers or takes things that are valuable to you is really just the reciprocity principle in action. Likewise, legitimacy, or the belief that a person has a formal right to make demands of others, and expertise, which is based on a person's superior skill and knowledge, can be beneficial in terms of leverage for two reasons. First, your legitimacy and expertise in a given area can give you positive leverage, given that it can help magnify the perceived importance of what you might convey. Moreover, to the extent that your legitimacy or expertise are well established, they can activate the authority influence principle, which we discussed as something that can elicit a sort of mindless obedience from others. Attractiveness concerns the extent to which others identify with, admire, and respect a given individual. And we can readily link the value of attractiveness, or what researchers refer to as referent power, to the liking principle in our prior discussion of influence. We have considered how such liking can exert an important influence in negotiations because it can essentially add one's future relationship with that counterpart as another issue to the bargaining table. Thus, to the extent that you have such referent power and are thus admired and respected by your counterpart, the potential to maintain that future relationship can have value to your counterpart and thus increase the amount of positive leverage you have in the negotiation. Finally, information represents yet another important base of power, given that what you know about your counterpart and the negotiation ultimately affects your ability to affect all three types of leverage. Your ability to increase positive leverage over your counterpart depends on having information about what the counterpart's interests and priorities are. The same thing goes for your ability to increase negative leverage. Moreover, your ability to exercise normative leverage depends on knowing what kinds of objective criteria might be available to support your claims. All those things hinge on the extent to which you can gather information about your counterpart, the negotiation, and the broader situation.